Fox Sports.
We are Buffalo. We are Florida.
And Volstad throws behind him. He's charging the mound. Morgan's coming after him, and the Marlins are pummeling him. Oh, goodness. Morgan at the bottom of the pile. Both benches empty.
This guy has some serious problems. If Major League Baseball doesn't do something about Nyjer Morgan, then they're coming up short.
Now the Fish are faced with injuries and suspensions and have to dig deep. Tonight, Dan Uggla's back, and the first-place Braves are in town. Okay, everybody's had 2 days to calm down, think about what happened, and now the Marlins get right into the heat of the National League East End wild card race. The Braves are here for 3, then it's 4 in Philadelphia against the Phillies. The Marlins and the Braves open up this series tonight here in South Florida. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. What a wild night it was on Wednesday. The Marlins got some terrible news that Ricky Nolasco's out for the rest of the year. Donnie Murphy was hurt. And then, of course, what you just saw happen on the mound. Where is the mindset of this Marlin team right now?
Well, I'll tell you what, they probably came together. Usually when something happens, such as the other night, a team comes together. Now, I know there isn't a whole lot of baseball left as we're in September, but in some weird way, and what do you mean calm down? The Braves are in town. But in some weird way, I think it brings the team together a little bit better.
Here is the roster of suspensions and fines that Major League Baseball set down in this one. For the Marlins, Chris Volstad 6. Alex Sanabia was involved in the fight. He got 5. Gabby gets 3. Jose Veras just a fine. The 8 games for Nyjer Morgan is in addition to the 7-game suspension that he's appealing right now. Pat Listash, who was first on the pile, gets 3. Doug Slayton 3. Interesting that Jim Ringelman got 2, and Edwin Rodriguez got just 1.
Yeah, and of course the managers cannot appeal a suspension, so Ringelman will miss 2 games. Edwin is sitting out this game tonight, so Brandon Hyde goes up against Bobby Cox.
So Brandon Hyde will be replacing Edwin Rodriguez. Remember that terrible Keanu Reeves movie, The Replacements? Well, that's what we have for our pitching matchup here, because this was supposed to be Derek Lowe for the Braves and Ricky Nolasco for the Marlins. Nolasco's out for the season. Lowe is missing a start because of a shot in his elbow, and so Andrew Miller goes for the Fish.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Remember, Andrew Miller was called up basically to go into the bullpen and help out there as a left-hander, and what's happened, he's come into the starting rotation. Last time out as a starter was against the Houston Astros on the 22nd of August.
Kenshin Kawakami takes the start for Derek Lowe. He started, but then kind of was exiled, took him down to AAA. He's back and now starting.
Yeah, those are his numbers career-wise against the Marlins. Not very good. In AAA, he had 5 starts. He was 0-1 and had an ERA over 4. But Kawakami, who had an 11-year career, a very successful career in Japan, is the replacement starter for the Braves tonight.
And there's the emotions for the Marlins, not only of the brawl, but also of that Sunday meltdown against the Braves. Remember the last time the Marlins saw the Braves? A 6-1 lead. It evaporated, the Diaz homer, and of course the McCann homer to win it. How does that factor into tonight?
Well, it's certainly something that the Marlins remember, and I don't know how much it'll factor. JJ's pitching tomorrow. We'll just have to see over the weekend.
All right, well, it starts tonight, a 3-game series. The Braves are in town. None of this. All right. When we get back, Frank Fort, Jeff Conine will talk about Major League Baseball laying down the law.
Braves tonight. Edwin Rodriguez serving a one-game suspension. Marlin players, 3 of them appealing suspensions from Wednesday's fight. Since Rich Waltz is into the movie references tonight, Jeff, how about Lords of Discipline? Bob Watson, the Vice President of Field Operations for baseball, he's the disciplinary czar, and when you get a call from him, it's not a good thing.
It's not a good thing. I've gotten one letter from Bob way back when, but, you know, Major League Baseball is trying to get really tough on-field altercations like this to try and discourage it. You know, they hand out pretty stiff penalties, pretty stiff fines to make players think twice about actually going out there and doing something.
Chris Volstad, Alex Sanabia, Gabby Sanchez, all handed suspensions, all will appeal, and in fact, baseball staggered Volstad and Sanabia's suspension so the Marlins wouldn't be short 2 pitchers at the same time. We asked Marlin players today about their reaction to the news of the suspensions.
That just came from trying to protect my pitcher, whatever in any means necessary. I mean, it wasn't something that I was thinking about, I'm going to do this or do that. I'm just trying to do whatever I could to not have Morgan, you know, continue with Volstad.
Are you surprised at 6 games?
I don't know. Yeah, I really didn't know what to expect. First time dealing with this kind of thing, so didn't really know. Just found out today, so just, you know, take it. I guess it is what it is.
I think as professional players, it's over with. I don't think there's any bad blood. You know, it happened, and then it should be over, you know, and that's it. That's how I take it. I'm not, you know, going to go over there and look for another fight when we play against them. You know, I feel like a lot of us know each other, and, you know, we've been playing against each other, you know, for the whole entire season, and it just happens. It's part of the game.
Well, you would hope there is no bad blood, and that's the end of it. You'd hope that's the way everybody deals with it.
Well, you know, they had their incident. They took care of business. Marlins did, and hopefully you put it behind you and move on.
Well, we're going to put it behind us as the Braves are in town for a 3-game series. Rich Waltz and Tommy Hutton will be along to call all the action. The Fish and the Braves. Bobby Cox, well, he'll get ejected tonight. He's the all-time leader. We'll have more on this, and Rich and Tommy will be here in just a minute. Braves and Marlins tonight here on Fox Sports Florida.
By Toyota, moving forward by AT&T. Find out what's possible with the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, rethink possible. And by Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. Braves are in town, ready to go. Andrew Miller rocks and deals, and Omar Infante takes a fastball outside. And it's 1-0. The Braves in town, a 3-game series. Then the Marlins head to Philly for 4, right into the heat of the National League East race and the wild card race, because the Phillies, of course, the wild card leader. The Braves have a 2-game lead over Philadelphia to start play tonight, and Andrew Miller makes
just his second start all year in the big leagues.
Well, he fared pretty well in his last start. It was against the Astros, 5 innings, gave up 3 hits and a run. And the whole key, as we have watched Andrew Miller, is command. He gets up with the walks and he gets up with the fastball, and that's when he gets himself in trouble.
The Marlins desperately need him to pitch well in the month of September. Soft liner into right. Stanton hesitated, then came in and caught it right at the 15-yard line. Here's the Braves lineup. And Atlanta comes in with Omar Infante at second. A very hot Jason Hayward hitting second. Martin Prado may be their MVP. A terrific year. D. Lee's back in the lineup. Matt Diaz. Can't be a Marlin Brave game without Diaz. Gonzo's at short. David Ross catching. Rick Ankiel's in center. And Kenshin Kawakami will hit ninth. And here is Hayward, who has had a very nice resurgence after a little bit of a dip. His average up to 282 now. Look what he's done against the Marlins this year. And takes a strike from Miller.
He has been on a remarkable tear. If you go back 11 games, the last 11 games for Jason Hayward, he's had 3 4-hit games. And he's 22 for 44 during that time.
One of those 4-hit games, every one of the hits was to left field. You can see his first half, second half. He had that terrific week. The great opening day, and he muscles that one over the head of Chad Tracy and into left field. So the Rookie of the Year candidate gets another base hit.
And muscle is a good way to describe that.
Defense brought to you by Boar's Head, the finest meats and cheeses.
There's the young outfield, Morrison, Maven, Stanton. Chad Tracy again, the start at third against the righty. Hanley, Dan Ugla, welcome back, Uggs. He's back in the lineup, and Brad Davis is behind the plate, and there's the skipper for tonight.
Brandon Hyde, the acting manager, Edwin Rodriguez, a 1-game suspension, and it's Brandon Hyde against Bobby Cox. And a throw over to first. And I asked Brandon Hyde about managing against Bobby Cox, and he said, bring him on. But then he said, it's a real honor to be able to manage against the guy that's going in the Hall of Fame.
And that's the way he'll approach it. He's had lots of minor league managing experience. Brandon has managed a good number of the players on the field for the Marlins.
Martin Prado at the plate. Prado still playing with a broken knuckle. There is Bobby Cox. He had the line of the night. You see the Hall of Fame resume for Cox. Edwin Rodriguez, who was allowed to be on the field during batting practice, was approached by Bobby. Prado takes a strike, and Bobby patted him on the back and said, congratulations, Edwin. And Edwin said, what for? And Bobby said, it took me 3 years to get suspended. That one foul back, and the count is 2-2.
Of course, we saw Bobby get tossed in one of those games in Atlanta. But what a year for Martin Prado. Right now on a 4-game hitting streak, 6 for 18 during that time. He's been on a streak all year.
And the fact that Omar Infante has hit so well has allowed Bobby Cox to put Prado at third, Infante at second. And the Braves are doing this in the absence of Chipper Jones. They've bolstered their lineup, of course, with Derek Lee. The next big prospect, aside from Jason Hayward, Freddie Freeman is up. He's a first baseman as well. There's D.
Got
Lee.
his first start the other night.
So the Braves have plenty of bodies. 2-2.
Prado just is up there fouling off tough pitch after tough pitch, waiting for a mistake. And doing that has allowed him to hit .316 this year. Ironically, he's hit a lot better against righties, though. .280 against lefties, .331 against righties.
Hayward at first. Miller goes over. Of course, the puzzle that is Andrew Miller is a guy that a first-round draft pick of the Detroit Tigers, a big piece in the Miguel Cabrera, Dontrell Willis trade. Fly ball towards the line. Morrison is over. It's going to fall foul.
Yeah, you forget, Rich, that year that Andrew Miller was the first-round pick. He was the number 6 player. He was picked 6th in that draft in 2006.
And he was in the big leagues that year. The Tigers rushed him to the big leagues. He did not have success there. He was included in the trade. Of course, Cameron Maben, the other big piece. And for the Marlins, it's kind of been a frustrating 2 years. Maben out in center field tonight, and Miller on the mound. And Prado goes down. And as you noted, control certainly an issue. Andrew Miller threw so poorly in spring training that he ended up in the minor leagues in single A.
And I think especially so, Rich, with his secondary pitches, with the changeup and the breaking ball.
Counts 2-2. That is a liner in his center field, a base hit. Maben will pick it up, and the Braves are in business.
What a great at bat.
Hayward and Prado with a couple of hits. And here comes Derek Lee.
There you go with an example of missing so badly with a breaking ball that Prado pretty much knew he was going to get a fastball, and after fouling off some tough pitches, shot that fastball into center field.
Derek Lee, of course, was a Cub. Turned down a trade to go to the Angels, but accepted a trade to go to the Braves about 6 weeks later, after the Cubs season continued to spiral out of control. And he's a real nice presence. You've got a Gold Glove first baseman, a bat that certainly hasn't had a Derek Lee type year, but you've also got someone who has postseason success. And the Braves actually have 2 members of the Marlins World Championship team from 2003 on their infield, with Alex Gonzalez at short and Derek Lee at first. Ground ball short, might be 2. Got one there. Uggla's turn. Got 2 there. Andrew Miller gets a sharp ground ball, and the Marlins get out of that first without a run. And 65, and their lineup looks this way. Cameron Maben leads it off in center field. Logan Morrison is in left. Hanley's at short. Dan Uggla's back in the lineup. He did not play in the 3-game series against Washington. Gabby Sanchez at first. Chad Tracy at third. Mike Stanton's out in right. Brad Davis had a nice night on Wednesday night. He's back behind the plate, and Miller hits ninth.
Well, we've seen Kawakami the last couple of years. You see his numbers this year with that 1-9 record. 8-21 in his career. We told you he went down, actually had 5 starts in AAA for the Braves, so just coming back, and in this start replacing the turn of Derek Lowe. A lot of off-speed stuff, a herky-jerky delivery, tough to pick up, but certainly hittable.
Cameron Maben digs in. Kawakami ready to go. And his fastball misses up. I think because of the brawl on Wednesday night, you lose sight of the fact that there were a lot of hitters that had big nights in that ball game. Cameron Maben had a home run, his 7th of the season.
It was one of those games. It was such a big offensive explosion for the Marlins. But you're right, everybody just talked about the fight.
The Marlins scored 16 runs. They gave up 10. 2-0 pitch. Maben squares the bunt. Makes a fastball for a strike.
I guess you could say it was kind of a costly win for Chris Volstad. Costly to the ERA because his ERA went up, and costly because he's been served a 6-game suspension.
All the Marlins have appealed their suspensions. Maben fouls it off. Managers in the major leagues are not a part of the Players Association, thus they have no recourse. When they are suspended, they have to serve immediately. So Brandon Hyde running the team and Edwin Rodriguez simply watching from a distance. Count 2-2 to Maben. Kawakami misses down low. I think for the month of September for Cameron, one of the things the Marlins are eager to see, not only how productive he is with the bat, but can he take walks? Can he get on base? Is he going to be a leadoff hitter? 3-2 coming. That is ball 4 that just missed.
That's a good job in taking the walk. He had not walked up until the last game, the 16-10 game. And he walked his first time up in that one. They took a couple of close pitches here, and that's a good sign.
He may have gotten a break. So yeah, pitch number 6 is in the strike zone. Our Fox Tracks brought to you by Toyota.
It is, but most umpires, as we've seen, are not going to call that high strike.
But we'll keep an eye on Kerwin Danley's strike zone as the night goes on, just to see if that pitch is consistent. Here's Logan Morrison, and Maben is chased back. Morrison, 2 for 4 on Wednesday night and scored 3 runs. Scored 3 runs in the first 3 innings. Kawakami runs a fastball that misses outside. In this series, you have some of the top rookie talent in all of the National League. Obviously, with the highly touted Jason Hayward and Freddie Freeman for the Braves. But the Marlins, of course, that's a shot down the right field line. Into the corner it goes. Maben is off and motoring. Around third on his way home. Morrison on his way to third, and he's got himself a triple. The Marlin rookies do not take a back seat to anybody. You've got Mike Stanton, you've got Gabby Sanchez, and Logan Morrison.
I'll tell you what I like is watching the adjustment and the maturity of Logan Morrison. Clubs have started to pitch him in a little bit more because he's stayed back and hit so many balls the other way. He makes the adjustment on that pitch in, drives it way down into that right field corner, and because Hayward was well off the line, not expecting Morrison to pull, he got himself his second triple.
And this sets up nicely for Hanley Ramirez, who stands in. He had a nice night on Wednesday night as well. Scored 3 runs. The Nationals really pitched around Hanley. They walked him intentionally once, semi-intentionally another time. And Hanley busts one in the gap. Left center. It'll get to the wall. Morrison scores easily. Hanley on his way to second. And the Marlins have come out swinging here against the Braves.
That's how things started the other night with the leadoff walk to Cameron Maben. So good news, the Marlins are continuing the trend. Another solid swing. It's our checkers double of the game. And for Hanley, it's a 10-game hitting streak. He's 18 for 36 now. Even I know. That is 500, Rich. 18 for 36.
27 doubles. And here is Ugla. He was missing throughout the entire National Series, though he was in the middle of the scrum somewhere. He had tweaked a groin. Marlins were very cautious with him. And Ugla takes outside against Kawakami. And good to have Ugla back. He certainly has had a great year and a terrific career against the Braves. In 83 games against the Braves, 22 homers, 60 RBIs. Kawakami pumps in a fastball, and it's 1-1. And Ugla is sitting on some milestones right now. With his next home run, he's going to set a couple of records. Breaking ball in the dirt. It kicks away. Hanley's on his way to third, and he's going to get there standing.
You and I have talked about this, Rich, the last week or so. I think we've seen Hanley probably run the bases as well as we've ever seen him. Getting good jumps, good jump there on that wild pitch.
Tommy, give us the defense for the Braves, brought to you by Boar's Head, the finest meats and cheeses.
There's that guy Diaz, Rick Ankiel in center, Jason Hayward, the right fielder, Prado, D. Lee at the corners, Gonzo, Infante up the middle, David Ross behind the plate. Had a big grand slam the other night for the Braves.
Infield is in, and a 2-1 coming to Ugla. Breaking ball is up. Dan Ugla, 29 homers. The next homer, his 30th. He would become the first Marlin ever to have 4 30-homer seasons. More impressive, he would become the first second baseman in Major League history ever to have 4 30-homer seasons. He fouls it off his foot. The count is 3-2. Bobby Cox, an interesting twist here, bringing the infield in. You suspect if Kawakami were to walk Ugla, they would back up for a double play, but he's rolling the dice here. He's got his catcher's glove ready.
Yeah, especially with nobody out. I can maybe picture him doing it with 1 out, but with nobody out, the infield in.
Ugla, liner, and Gonzo grabs it.
About 6 inches higher, and that infield in would not have paid off for the Braves. That ball was stung by Dan Ugla. Only the quick reactions of Alex Gonzalez, just tremendous reactions. And then watch what he does after he catches it. A little quick fake to third, but Hanley held his ground. What a quick play by Alex Gonzalez.
Infield still in. Here's Gabby Sanchez. Breaking ball. Misses. Sanchez, of course, a focal point for the last 2 days of talk shows and highlight reels coming off of Wednesday's brawl. 3-game suspension under appeal.
And Rich, I'm sure you thought the same thing that I have. I thought Gabby has handled it extremely well. All his comments.
Not boastful, not saying, hey, I got the guy. Simply, I came to the aid of my pitcher. I reacted. I'm not that proud of the suspension. Broken bat roller. Here comes Hanley. Here comes the throw to the plate. And he is out at the plate. On contact, Hanley Ramirez coming home. And the Marlins fail to pick up that extra run.
Well, you credit Martin Prado with a nice play. He knows Hanley's going on contact. Good transfer to the throwing hand. And a perfect throw to David Ross, who has plenty of time to block the plate. So you hope that run doesn't come back and bite you somewhere along the line later in the game. But an opportunity goes by the wayside.
Chad Tracy now with Gabby Sanchez at first. And Bobby Cox, by keeping the infield in, has kept it to 2-0. With good plays by Gonzalez and by Prado. Chad Tracy takes a strike. Tracy has had a nice 10-day run where he's found himself in the lineup, and now has played so well that he's pretty much a straight platoon. He'll get the start against righties, with Wes Helms getting the start against lefties.
Well, even with the terrific game Wes Helms had the other night. Wes 3 for 5 with 5 RBIs.
Oh, 1 coming from Kawakami. Tracy rolls it just foul. C.B. Buckner, the umpire, down at third base. Doug Eddings is at first, Dana Demuth, and crew chief at second. Of course, Kerwin Danley behind home plate. Four for 10 in Atlanta in that 3-game series against the Braves. Pitch out, and the Braves feeling Gabby might be on the move. The scouting report on Gabby is not that he is a base stealer. He has 5 on the season.
But he's not been thrown out. Good success.
Tracy rolls that one in the corner. Foul. Gabby was racing around second and obviously had thoughts of coming home. You can see everywhere the ball goes on this field the markings of the football game from last night. This field has had an NFL game last week, a college football game last night. The grounds crew working 24 hours from the time the game ended last night to the start of game tonight to try to get this field in playing condition for a Major League Baseball game, and this is the best grounds crew in baseball. They have to deal with more variables than just about anybody. They do a great job still. This field, the outfield is very fast. The infield a little bit bumpy, so that could play into this series this weekend.
Yeah, as well as the ground crew is over the last couple of weeks, probably seen more bad hops than we've seen all year.
Out towards second. Infante gathers it in and flips to first, but the Marlins get to Kawakami for 2. Have one thrown out at the plate and lead it 2-0. Toyota moving forward. When leading their division on September 2nd, the Braves have never blown a lead. Those 14 division titles, all consecutive from 91 through 2005, and Bobby Cox, of course, at the helm for all of them. Matt Diaz, Alex Gonzalez, and David Ross And Diaz shoots one. Diving stop. Ugla on his knees. Got him. Dan Ugla. Airborne, knocked it down, and the Marlins, believe it or not, get Diaz out.
And you know what? I almost feel like saying his name is Dan Ugla after that play. This is a great play. Lays out, ball pops out of the glove, but he keeps his concentration, bare hand, and then comes up with a good throw.
Here's Alex Gonzalez now with David Ross right behind him. And Gonzalez takes a strike. A very productive start of his season in Toronto. You saw those numbers reflecting his time in Atlanta. Gonzo having one of his best power years. You go back through his career, you see the 17 homers, 21 combined, 73 driven in. 2004 probably his best year. And that, of course, coming off the World Championship season with the Marlins.
He's had a very productive year, as you were pointing out. And I think as we've watched Alex, he's a better hitter. He's become a better hitter each year.
He's always been a supremely talented defensive player.
Even though he's made a number of errors this year.
He's hit safely in 10 straight. That one is going to find a home right behind Hanley, and that's the second hit that the Braves have dumped out there over Hanley's head. Hayward had one of those. And Alex Gonzalez has one. Here's David Ross.
You know, those are those base hits, and I don't know what Brad Davis was talking to Andrew Miller about when we had that shot last inning, but sometimes a catcher just has to reinforce to his pitcher, hey, look, you're making good pitches. The pitch to Hayward was a good pitch. That pitch, a good pitch. And so you have to look at it that way, and that's what he has to continue to reinforce with Andrew Miller.
Here is David Ross. David Ross is a backup catcher, but that doesn't mean he's not loved by the Braves fans and by the Braves themselves, because he was just rewarded with a 2-year contract extension, and he drives that one in the corner. Morrison has to dig it out. Gonzalez to third. He'll be held there. And David Ross has doubled. The Braves are set up second and third. And up comes Rick Ankiel.
Well, the one little bonus for Andrew Miller, he has a number 8 hitter, a left-handed hitter, an Ankiel, and then the pitcher, Kawakami. Yeah, I think David Ross is one of those guys. He's at the point in his career, he knows his role. He's a backup. He's going to be a backup to Brian McCann, and the Braves like that.
Breaking ball from Miller, and Ankiel swings and misses. There's one piece of the puzzle the Braves haven't been able to nail down, and that is center field. They've tried a variety of combinations out there this year. Actually, over the last couple of seasons.
By the way, 2 really good breaking balls to Ankiel.
You've got Miller, who was raised in Gainesville, Florida, and Ankiel, raised in Port St. Lucie. Breaking ball, got a piece of that one. 0-2. Jordan Schaefer, of course, started last year in center field for the Braves. One of their top prospects. Suffered a wrist injury. Was bothered by that injury again this year. 0-2 pitch. And it's inside. That, of course, prompted the Braves to trade for Nate McLouth last year near the trading deadline. And McLouth did not perform well down the stretch for the Braves, nor did he have a very good year this year.
He actually spent some time in AAA.
He keeps feeding them breaking balls. He's thrown them 4 straight.
And even Nate McLouth, I was looking at his AAA numbers, hit .234 in AAA. But he's back with the club now with some of their call-ups.
Gonzalez and Ross. 1-2 from Miller. Fastball. That's a nice sequence. 92 and up in the zone.
Good job of pitching. Andrew Miller made some nice pitches. Had him thinking breaking ball, and then finally snuck the fastball by him. A good sequence there by Andrew.
Now to make it all pay off, he's got to get Kawakami because he doesn't want to deal with Infante. Liner in the center, a base hit. Maven got a good jump. They'll hold Ross, and it's Kawakami who puts the Braves on the board.
Well, that's pretty amazing. Kawakami just 2 for 23. Not much of a hitter at all, and drives in the Braves' first run. Even though you have the pitcher there, you can't just throw it right down the middle of the plate. You have to still continue to make pitches the way he made pitches to Rick Ankiel.
Now you've got Infante, one of the hotter hitters for the Braves. He lined out to right his first time up. Pulls a ground ball to Tracy at third. Across the diamond, the Braves are on the board. The Marlins are up by 1. And coming up, the bottom of the second.
.com, who's doing a live chat. In fact, we pulled him away from the live chat to be with us during the game tonight. David, what are most of the fans want to talk about? I can assume it's Wednesday's incident.
Absolutely, Frank. Everybody's talking about these suspensions that MLB levied today, and they're talking about how Niger Morgan's antics have been going on for the past few weeks, and it's been an exciting chat so far.
I assume there's some dialogue about the unwritten rules of baseball, stealing 2 bases, down 11 runs, which I personally didn't have a problem with, but I'm sure there are people who do.
Absolutely, Frank. There's been a lot of questions about that. I personally, talking to the Marlins in the clubhouse, I don't think the stolen bases bother them as much as kind of like the gesturing that Morgan was doing out there.
The attitude. There's also a lot of discussion among fans. Does Gabby Sanchez, and comparing his numbers to Jason Hayward in this Rookie of the Year race?
Yeah, Gabby's actually been one of the quieter rookies as far as national attention, but if you look at his numbers, he's been one of the most consistent that's done it all year. There's actually a story about that. I don't know if it's up yet, but it should be soon on FoxSportsFlorida.com about Gabby and how he's been this year.
And if you want to chat with David Villavicencio on FoxSportsFlorida.com, log on, FoxSportsFlorida.com, and then what?
And then you go to the Marlins drop-down, and you'll see where it says chat, and you can click right there.
You can talk to him during this ball game tonight. Rich and Tommy, back up to you.
All right, thank you, Frank. Mike Stanton stands in and takes a breaking ball for a strike. Stanton has come back to life offensively after a long drought, an 0 for 31. And Kawakami misses up and in. Stanton hit a 2-run homer against the Nationals on Wednesday night. He was 2 for 5 in that ball game. Cracks a two-hopper out to Infante at second. And there's one out. And that'll bring up Brad Davis. Just to check around baseball with the Braves here for a 3-game series. The Phillies are at home. The Phillies are 2 behind the Braves, but also wild card leaders are those Phillies. And they have a 1-0 lead over Milwaukee in the third. By the way, and this is not to get my partner's blood pressure up, the Nationals and the Pirates are playing, and it's a 1-0 lead for the Nationals. Of note, leading off and playing center field for the Nationals, Niger Morgan, who is on double secret probation now, apparently, from Major League Baseball. He, of course, has been playing while appealing a 7-game suspension for throwing a ball into the stands and hitting a fan in the head. And now he's been saddled with an 8-game suspension on top of the 7-game suspension. He's appealing that, and Brad Davis scorches one by Infante. He's going to second, and he is in there.
Well, that's a good job. That's also knowing your outfielder. Matt Diaz just average as far as throwing arm. Plus, Brad Davis knew he had to go deep into the corner to get that ball.
Davis.
Good hustle. Good hustle with that double.
You go back to Wednesday's game, and Davis had an RBI double and a solo homer, and he doubles his first at bat tonight.
With a solid stroke right there. Once he saw that ball get into the corner and Diaz chasing it down, he knew he had himself a good chance to get 2.
Andrew Miller now with Maben on deck. Miller runs into one. Derek Lee, the Gold Glover, flips to Kawakami, who was also a Gold Glover 3 times over in Japan. He was over to make the play. It moves Davis up to third. There's 2 outs. And here is Maben.
So wouldn't you know it, Rich, already early in this game, we've seen Alex Gonzalez pick a line drive, make a spectacular play, and Derek Lee on a tough backhanded short hop ball made a nice play. So those former fish, world champion fish, with some good plays.
Here now is Maben. He walked and scored back in the first. Fouled off. Have you ever heard of a Major League player who, while on appeal for a lengthy suspension, picks up another lengthy suspension?
No. But you're not going to get me going. I had a day off. I feel good. I'm revved up, ready to go this weekend.
You're not taking the bait?
Not taking the bait. You tried. That was a good one. But why is he in the lineup?
He's leading off. Kawakami misses up and into Maben. And it counts 1 ball and 1 strike.
I do understand, and this is the tough part. You know, I have a problem with the suspension rule and all that, but I understand one of the difficulties is that the Players Association gets involved, and that's what makes it a little lengthier.
It's 1-2. Just reading the story on the suspension today, Morgan expressed surprise. But in that story was a note that the appeal for the 7-game suspension, his appeal was to be heard on Tuesday of next week. Now it's been moved back to Friday of next week, which is right before the Marlins and the Nationals play up in D.C. This time Prado picks it and fires it across in time to get Maben. Marlins threaten, but leave that runner at third.
Just wait till the season's over.
In South Florida tonight, the Marlins are battered, bruised, suspended, but on top, 2-1 over Atlanta. Andrew Miller climbs up to face Jason Hayward. A breaking ball on the outside corner is the strike. Hayward, Prado, and Lee, 2, 3, 4 in the Braves order. And Hayward dumped a single into left field, just over the heads of Chad Tracy and Hanley Ramirez. Hayward certainly atop a lot of people's Rookie of the Year consideration list right now. A lot of those lists circulating as the month of September starts for awards. MVP, Manager of the Year, Rookie of the Year. Jaime Garcia, a terrific lefty. Hayward and Gabby Sanchez starting to get on those lists as well. And down goes Hayward. Andrew Miller paints on the outside corner.
The two left-handers, Andrew Miller has pitched extremely well. Rick Ankiel, he put away in the second inning. And this time a fastball, perfect fastball, freezes Jason Hayward. Hayward's did a little better against righties this year. Just 238 against left-handers.
Here's Prado. He's singled back in the first. The Braves, 2 hits in the first, 3 hits in the second, but they have just 1 run. Miller got a sharp double play grounder from Derek Lee to end the first, and a slow roller from Infante to finish the second.
Rich, you were talking about Jaime Garcia. He's pitching tonight in that big series. Cincinnati's in St. Louis. Bronson Arroyo and Jaime Garcia.
And it's amazing because the Marlins rolled into Cincinnati after the Cardinals had left, had swept the Reds. There was panic in the streets. The Reds felt that the
panic around the fountain.
Absolutely. And look where it stands now as St. Louis comes into that series 8 games back, having lost 5 in a row, and the Reds obviously hot. They've won 4 straight. Slow tapper. Tracy on the move. Up the line. And I'm not sure. Let's see if Gabby tags the runner. There's been no signal by the umpire yet. Now he's safe.
Well, it's a tough play for a first baseman when you see that throw tail and it's tailing right into the runner. Tracy didn't get a good grip on it, and it's like if you go there, all kinds of bad things can happen. That throw was tailing right into the runner, Prado.
And on the replay, he did touch the bag and did not make a move towards second base. Now Lee. Miller misses up with a fastball.
Derek Lee hit into a double play. The Braves are second in the National League in grounding into double plays. Only the Giants have grounded into more. And it's interesting, the Cubs are actually tied with the Braves. So Derek Lee has contributed to both because he hits into a lot of double plays. He's grounded into 18.
You think he should have his own separate category among the teams? In comes Stanton, and Mike is there and makes the catch. Well, your opportunity has arrived to purchase premium seats at the new Marlins ballpark. The Marlins are now accepting deposits on 2012 season tickets in the Marlins new park. We were there just this week. 1-877-411-2012 is the number to call. Schedule your appointment at the new sales headquarters across the street from the ballpark. Diaz pulls it foul. If you're a Marlin fan, you know that this guy is the most dangerous hitter on the planet. Matt Diaz in his career against the Marlins, Tommy pointed out the numbers, 383 coming in. 10 homers, 28 RBIs, on-base percentage of .440.
Yeah, he's gone down to 381 with his 0 for 1.
And that's in 57 games. And, of course, he hit one of the big home runs, the 2-run homer to tie it against Leo Nunez in the Marlins meltdown on Sunday in Atlanta. That one bounces near his back foot, a wild pitch from Andrew Miller.
You know, the thing about a guy like Diaz, you almost throw away the fact that he came into this game over his last 7. He's not having a good year. He spent some time on the disabled list with a thumb injury. You throw all that out the window because you know what he's done against the Marlins.
And he's hit well in this ballpark. He's hit well in Atlanta against the Marlins. And he seemingly has hit well against every pitcher the Marlins have thrown up against him. That's, if you're going to throw a fastball to Diaz, that's where you want it. You want it in.
And that's not where Leo Nunez worked in because he left it out over the plate. And Diaz loves that pitch out there and has power to the opposite field. We saw that in Atlanta.
One-two coming. Got him. Fastball, threw it by him. How about that? Andrew Miller has retired Matt Diaz twice tonight. And the Fish have a 2-1 lead. $1-877 Marooney. By South Florida Ford. Visit southfloridaford.com for great offers. By Checkers. Little place, big taste. By Corona. Kick back and relax with an ice cold Corona and lime. Enjoy Corona today. And by Boar's Head. Premium deli meats and cheeses. Sun setting on South Florida. A good night for baseball. Logan Morrison, Hanley Ramirez, Dan Uggla get their second look at Kenshin Kawakami. Morrison takes low and inside. Logan tripled home a run in the first and then scored on a Hanley Ramirez double.
Back up to 299, flirting with 300. Continues to keep the on-base percentage over 400.
Continues to get deep into counts. Continues to look like a 5 or 6 year veteran instead of a guy that's been in the big leagues for 5 or 6 weeks. And he blisters that one into right center field. Morrison around first.
That's got triple all over it.
And he's headed around second. He's headed for third again. And he's got to get there. 2 triples. The throw is airmail, but Kawakami is backing up. And Logan Morrison has tripled twice already tonight.
Right now, the Braves defense is trying to figure out how to defend Logan Morrison. Do we shade him to left center? He hits a lot of balls that way. Or how about do we shade him to right? Does he pull a ball? Well, he pulled one down the right field line for the first triple. This one, with the center fielder, Ankiel, shading just a little bit to left center, he shoots into right center field.
So here's Hanley now. Remember, the Marlins had an opportunity to pick up that runner at third back in the first, and they did not. Dan Uggla lined out. Gabby Sanchez bounced to third, and that's when Hanley was thrown out at the plate. Fastball from Kawakami misses up, and it's 1-0. Hanley still has the red hair and is still red hot. After a high breaking ball, it's 1-1. 10 straight he's hit in. .484 with the red dew. Not red by design. A dye job gone terribly wrong. Hanley said, I mean, his options were to just show up at the park with the red hair or shave it off, and he decided to just show up with the red hair.
And that was in New York. And things worked out pretty well that night. And they've worked out pretty well since.
Fastball misses up. Uggla's on deck.
11 years in Japan, 112 wins for Kenshin Kawakami.
The Central League is where the Chunichi Dragons play. At the knees, a strike, and it's 3-2. And the Braves signed him to a 3-year contract. Last year he was 7-12 in 25 starts, and this year just 1-9. And this is his 16th start, and he is signed through next year at about $7 million.
Yeah, making a pretty good bit of change.
Three-two coming to Hanley. It's outside. Hanley takes his walk on his way to first, and here comes Uggla.
Now, Dan Uggla would like to blister one the way he did last time up, only but get it a little bit higher over the head of Alex Gonzalez. Yeah, we had a trivia question not too long ago, Rich. The only Marlin that had 2 triples in a game. Jesus Tavares back in 1995, August of 95. So now Logan Morrison joins Tavares on that list.
Uggla hits another screamer, and this one is foul. His first time up with the infield in. He hit a shot that Alex Gonzalez just got in the webbing of his glove, a leaping catch at short. Uggla sees the ball well against Kawakami. He is 4 for 10 with a home run. Pitch misses outside. Might we see Hanley on the move?
If not during this at-bat of Dan Uggla's, for sure during Gabby Sanchez's at-bat.
Middle infield is back for 2. You can see Lee holding Hanley. Slow breaking ball, Uggla way out in front. 1-2.
I think it's good just watching Dan swing, and also that play he made. It tells me that the little pull he had in the groin is feeling okay. He's moved pretty good tonight.
That's one of the few bits of good news on the injury front for the Marlins, who on Wednesday night lost Ricky Nolasco for the rest of the season and lost Donnie Murphy for the rest of the season with a dislocated wrist. Murphy has already had surgery to repair the wrist. 1-2. Blowing outside. Nolasco will have surgery to repair the meniscus in his right knee. And John Baker also has had successful Tommy John surgery.
To the point of success where he's expected possibly to be doing baseball activities in spring training.
Needless to say, the Marlins insurance plan has already met their deductible for the year.
They'll be contacting Lloyd's of London pretty soon.
Gabby waits. Let's see if Hanley's moving on a 3-2 pitch.
Yeah, he'll be going here.
Nobody out. Morrison tripled. Hanley walked. Hanley's running. Ugla fouls it off. Almost looked like Dan was sitting on the breaking ball.
Yeah, that was just a little emergency. Let me just foul this ball off swing and stay alive. I think that's something that Dan has done a lot better over the last few years. We've talked about his increase in walks, a better approach at the plate in that area, and I think just seeing what he did there is something that he's improved on.
Hanley on the move. Ugla swings and misses, and Hanley gets the stolen base. That was a breaking ball, but it kind of really had much more of a downward bite, I think, than Ugla thought. And it ate him up inside.
Yeah, it turned out to be a perfect pitch by Kawakami. Kind of backed up. That's your old back-up breaking ball that fooled Dan Ugla. And Hanley with his 29th stolen base.
Well, the Braves are going to intentionally walk Gabby Sanchez and set up a possible inning-ending double play with Chad Tracy.
That's a little respect to the rookie. Even though it sets up a double play, it brings a left-handed bat to the plate.
Rookie leader in RBIs at 72. Tracy bounced to second in his only at bat tonight.
Yeah, we saw Chad Tracy come up with a huge hit the other night in the 10th inning in that 1-0 victory over the Nationals. And I thought it was interesting. He made a comment after the game and talking about how Pudge, and he was talking about how Pudge was setting him up as opposed to the pitcher. Now, that's a little different situation. You have an experienced Kawakami, David Ross not in there all the time. It was a different battery, so he was thinking more along the lines with Pudge Rodriguez as opposed to the pitcher.
So they're loaded up for Tracy. Kawakami steps off. Both teams have had a bunch of base runners already in this ball game. Tracy fouls it off. The Marlins have 2 triples, 2 doubles, 3 walks, and have scored just 2 runs.
Yeah, that base hit by Tracy the other night off the rookie Drew Storen. So you had a rookie out there, and then you had the veteran Pudge Rodriguez behind the plate.
Pitch misses out. Ball and a strike.
Chad Tracy with 3 career grand slams. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
Tracy, of course, had the solid start in Arizona with the Diamondbacks. Slowed by a knee injury. He had to have that microfracture surgery in his knee, similar to Carlos Beltran, Alfredo Amezaga.
I think we've seen how long it's taken those 2 players to come back from that.
2-1 coming. Pulls that one down the line, and it's fair into the corner. Morrison scores. Hanley scores. Gabby held at third. Tracy drives in 2, and the Marlins stretch the lead to 4-1.
What was it, in 18 they used to say, I love it when a plan all comes together? You love it when something backfires. And Chad Tracy made it backfire for Bobby Cox and the Braves. They issued the walk to Gabby. And he capitalizes 2 big runs on this double, so another extra base hit by the Marlins.
And how about this? The Braves are going to intentionally walk Mike Stanton.
And Mike Stanton against the Braves this year is 1 for 24.
The one hit that he has was the line drive homer to right off of Chris Medlin in this ballpark.
That was that bullet to right field.
And as the story goes, after Stanton hit it, and the ball probably never got higher than 20 feet off the ground. It was out of here in the blink of an eye. As Medlin came off the mound, Chipper Jones greeted him in the dugout with a high five and said, "Way to go, dude. That was so cool." He said, "I now have my newest favorite player in the big leagues, and his name is Mike Stanton."
Well, Chipper is traveling with the Braves. I remember we talked to him in Atlanta. They're happy to have him just on the bench, hanging around during batting practice. And I think he's happy being around the guys, too.
So Davis, who doubled in the second, and remember, on Wednesday night, he homered and doubled. So a guy getting his first taste in the big leagues, Brad Davis. Marlins have gone through catchers pretty quickly here this year. Davis is the backup to the backup to the backup. Breaking ball misses inside. John Baker goes down. Ronnie Paulino goes down. Brett Hayes goes down. There's Scott Proctor in the bullpen. 2-0 coming. Fastball up and in, and it's 2-1. Got the pitcher on deck. Infield is back for 2. Sanchez, Tracy, and Stanton. You at least want contact here from Davis.
Well, and also fresh in the mind is that 6-1 lead that evaporated quickly in Atlanta. So you want to get as much as possible.
Popped him up. Ross spins around.
And I think you made a great point of that in Atlanta as to how you have to keep adding on.
Well, and we did the math, and this wasn't in the 8th inning. We were doing this in the 4th or the 5th inning. Bobby Cox and the Braves have more come-from-behind wins, more last-at-bat wins than anybody in baseball, and the Marlins bullpen has blown more saves than anybody in baseball. That's not a good combination. 2-2 coming. Fly ball center field. Let's see if it's deep enough. Gabby is tagging. Ankiel has a great arm. He makes the catch. Here comes the throw. Gabby is in there. David Ross may be kicking himself that he didn't try to make that catch in front of the plate. Ankiel, of course, the former pitcher, has a rocket for an arm, and that was a close play.
Well, it's a good job by Brad Davis with 2 strikes on him to get this ball deep enough. There's the strong throw of Ankiel. And you're right. If David Ross is in a little different position, he gets the ball before Gabby even gets to the plate. Then you credit Gabby with a nice slide. He's not trying to take out the catcher. He's trying to score a run. And a good slide to the inside part of the plate.
Andrew Miller
there,
now.
did I make my point?
Very subtly. Miller takes a fastball for a strike. So Kawakami wobbling here. Proctor is ready in the bullpen. Miller almost got a base hit were it not for a nice play by Derek Lee back in the 2nd inning. Marlins have 3 runs here in the 3rd and a 5-1 lead. Brad Davis is putting together good at bat after good at bat after good at bat. And he's going to get a lot of playing time. Obviously, now that Hayes is out for the year, Mike Rivera, the guy that has some big league time, is in AAA for the Marlins and expected here in a couple of days, another catcher. He's a guy that has big league experience, and Edwin Rodriguez knows him very well, having scouted him and managed him in Puerto Rico.
Well, they wanted to get him some games in the minor leagues before he gets here.
1-2 coming to Miller. Swing and a miss at the ball in the dirt, and Ross tags him out. Inning over, but the Marlins put 3 more on the board. Big hit by Chad Tracy. It's 5-1. Andrew Miller and the Marlins have a 5-1 lead over the Braves in the top of the 4th inning. Let's flip the phone, do a little AT&T trivia. Bobby Cox was replaced as Braves manager in 1981.
Yeah, remember, Bobby was the Braves manager, left for Toronto, and managed the Toronto Blue Jays for 4 years.
Took the Blue Jays to the American League Championship Series, and then returned to Atlanta.
I think I know the answer to that. I don't want to blurt it out, and I think the particular manager who is the answer has gone on to have a pretty successful managerial career himself.
And he took the Braves to the postseason. I think the first year he was there.
And is a good example of how, hey, if you're with bad teams, things don't work out well, because he was with some other bad teams too.
Miller thought he had a strikeout on that breaking ball.
This particular manager that I'm not going to mention.
Does he look better in dark blue or the other blue? Fastball's outside. Miller has to regroup. It's 2-2. Has Miller's struggles, have they been mechanical?
Yeah, that's been the whole thing. I think he's not found that right, perfect delivery, release point. He's worked on a lot of different things. At one point, he went back to the way he threw in college at University of North Carolina. I mean, he's tried all kinds of things, many different pitching coaches. And I think you and I, we will sit down with Randy St. Clair, because Randy St. Clair has never really seen him a lot. This is the most that he's seen him since he's been up with the club.
I remember when Miller made his first start of the year, as we do with every starting pitcher, we always talk to the pitching coach. What's he working on tonight? What have you talked to him about? And he said, guys, I'm going into this one blind. Really haven't saw a little bit of him in spring training. Just read the reports. We haven't really had time to jump in the bullpen. Remember, he was thrown right into the fire
when he initially was brought up to go into the bullpen.
David Ross takes down low.
But you have a lefty. He's 6'7". He's still young. And he still has time to put it together.
Though he hasn't had a lot of success in the big leagues at all, he has had success against the Braves. He's 2-0 with a 3.32 ERA, 3 starts, 3 relief appearances. Pumps in a strike.
Yeah, Andrew, just 25 years old. And there's an old adage, kind of like those unwritten baseball rules. It's an old adage that says sometimes left-handers just mature at a later date.
Now, are those inscribed in stone and kept in a sealed vault like in Cooperstown? Along with the unwritten rules?
Yeah.
And Miller walks David Ross. First walk of the night. And this will be an interesting sequence because in our history in watching Andrew, he can put together 2 or 3 really good innings and then all of a sudden walk a man and have trouble recovering.
Yeah, and this is, I think, really important for Brad Davis to keep him right there, help him make some good pitches. And remember, he made some great pitches to Ankiel back in the 2nd inning.
Kenshin Kawakami looks like he's done because it looks like Troy Gloss, not Kawakami, in the on-deck circle. Gloss is about 8 inches taller and a lot more imposing in the batter's box. Two and two. Ankiel, of course, just like Miller, a top prospect as a pitcher, a lefty. Gorgeous breaking ball. And he strikes him out for the 2nd time.
And again, to the lefties. He made some great pitches to Hayward in the 3rd inning. But he's made his best pitches tonight to the left-handed batters. Talk about getting frozen. Ankiel's frozen on that breaking ball.
Here is Gloss, and he pinch hits here in the 4th. Gloss has been down in the minor leagues on rehab after a sore knee. He got off to a quick start, but then faded in midsummer. Now in the minor leagues, he was playing 3rd base, where he's played coming up in his career, and actually played pretty well.
Yeah, he hit pretty well while he was down there. Hit over 300, had a couple of home runs.
He's never been a real mobile 3rd baseman, but he's always been a guy that if you hit it to him, he makes the play. Ball and a strike. Ground ball in the left field. That's a base hit. And Troy Gloss reemerges with a hit. It's one of the oddities of baseball that you don't find in any other sport, in that every team's roster, especially teams that are headed to the postseason, essentially changes for the last month of the season when rosters can expand from 25 all the way up to 40, depending on how many guys you want to promote. And for some teams, at times, it seems like an unfair advantage. if you've got a few hot prospects that you want to bring up, or if you just want to load up with some veterans that'll help you in September, you can do that.
Yeah, I think the Giants, I was listening the other day, brought up a speedster, Darren Ford, I think's his name, and ended up pinch running and coming in to score in a big play, scored the winning run.
Well, this is it, turning into one of those innings for Andrew Miller. He was cruising. He walked Ross, glossed with a single. You don't want to get to that guy with the bases loaded. But he's 3-0 on Infante. And lost him.
Well, the hope is he gets back into that form that saw him throw such good pitches to left-handed hitters, because he's going to have to do that here. Speaking of pitches, Kawakami threw 73 pitches, 39 strikes, 34 balls.
Randy St. Clair arrives at the mound. For Andrew Miller, you talked about this kind of the accidental tourist type stumbling into the rotation simply because the Marlins wanted a situational lefty. This is a great opportunity for him in the month of September, because next year he's out of options. He's a guy that if the Marlins had him in the big leagues or bring him up, they can't send him down without exposing him and probably losing him.
And it doesn't get any more situational than this.
Missed with the breaking ball. And he's missed with 5 straight pitches.
You hear the term repeat the delivery. The more you repeat the delivery, the more consistent you get in throwing pitches in the strike zone. And that's where Andrew has continued to struggle. Where was that pitch?
Right down the middle. Grounded it to second, and Miller escapes. The Braves leave him loaded. How about that? 5-1 Fish. Make a call. Logan Morrison is all mic'd up, and off the field, Morrison is a fun-loving, he'll crack you up, always has a smile on his face. Something changes with him when the game starts.
He gets into a good baseball mode.
Yes, he does.
And he's always been that way. The reports on him as he came up in the minor leagues always said that about him, type of player he is.
Yeah, every team that he's played on, he has been the clubhouse leader, and not by rah-rah, follow me. just by how hard he plays on the field. Here's Scott Proctor now as he takes over for Kawakami. Tommy documented Kawakami's struggles in 3 innings, 73 pitches, and just 39 strikes.
Now, we saw Scott Proctor a little bit last year in spring training, but then he had Tommy John surgery and has resurfaced, did so with the Braves. Scott born up in Stewart, Florida.
Cameron Maben, top of the order, is up. Proctor misses outside.
Yeah, you saw that little microphone pack on the back of Logan Morrison. He's got 2 triples tonight. I'd keep that thing on.
Maben fouls it back. We'll have to check with our folks in the truck to see if he said anything during those triples. All they recorded was just huffing and puffing. Maben walked and scored and bounced out. Morrison next, then Hanley here in the bottom of the 4th. That one fouled back. This is a big game, obviously, for the Braves with the Phillies 2 back. In Philadelphia in action at home against Milwaukee. And on top with Cole Hamels throwing a 1-hit shutout. It's 1-0 Philadelphia in the 6th. Phillies had a nice little pit stop in Colorado where they beat the Rockies yesterday. They had to dial up a big inning to do it.
Yeah, they beat the Rockies 12-11. They had a 9-run 7th. So the little stopover in Denver was about a 3-hour and 50-minute game.
Maben hits that ball to left center field. Diaz has it lined up. And he makes the catch. All right, you asked for it. Let's listen to Logan on one of those triples. See, I like that better than the chit-chat on the bench.
That's good stuff right there.
Marlins Live postgame tonight after the ball game will have the greatest hits of Lomo all mic'd up.
So we've seen Lunch with Lomo and Lomo mic'd up.
He's going for cheesesteaks when we're in Philadelphia. There'll be another episode of Lunch with Lomo.
So no Marlin has ever had 3 triples in a game. Denard Span, the speedster with the Twins, had 3 triples against the Tigers earlier this year.
1-1 coming. Well, he tripled down the right field line and then tripled in the right center gap. And here's how the Braves have got him lined up still.
Yeah, still Ankiel shading a couple of steps into left center. So there's a pretty good sized gap out there in right center, but also down that line. So there's a lot of area to find out there.
This is a good ballpark for Logan Morrison to hit in. He's a gap hitter with good power. We hope his father is feeling well tonight and able to watch. And we look forward to seeing you soon, either here or out on the road. Morrison takes inside. Counts 3-2. Another deep count for Morrison. Got jammed, dumps it to left. Diaz is in and makes the catch. All right, 2 outs. Let's flip the phone. Another guy that's going in the Hall of Fame with Bobby Cox is the answer to this one.
Yeah, we gave you plenty of hits on this one.
Joe Torre.
So you think about the Joe Torre years early with the Braves, with the Mets. Not good teams. And a little bit better with the Braves. St. Louis, so-so.
It wasn't until he became the Yankees skipper that his managing record started to improve.
And speaking of the Yankees, Scott Proctor remembered the Yankees for a few years. 04, 05. Had a couple of solid years in 2006 and 7.
Hanley swings and misses.
That's amazing how Jeter, Bernie Williams, Jorge Posada, Mariano Rivera, they'll help you get some wins.
And that's not to say that just an average manager would have won the World Championships that Torre did with the Yankees. A swing and a miss. But it does illustrate that, as you pointed out, how do you measure the talent of a manager if he doesn't have a good team to manage? Because if you ask somebody in 1994 if Joe Torre was a good manager, you'd probably get a pretty split consensus on you. You'd probably get more people saying probably not.
Yeah, he was a good player. I don't know about manager. Yeah. I don't think there's any question New York's probably the toughest place to manage with all the media scrutiny and all the things you have to deal with.
Now, I'll tell you what, New York's a lot easier place to manage than a place like Pittsburgh or Kansas City when you got players. Three-two. Now, if you took the players from the Yankees and put them in Pittsburgh and put them in Kansas City, you're right. It's probably an easier environment to manage it. Proctor battling with Hanley. Marlins up 5-1. Bottom of the fourth. Long way to go in this one. And Hanley works a walk.
Well, Proctor throwing a lot of pitches. He's had 3 straight 3-2 counts. He's battling. He always has been a battler. He did not have great numbers in AAA, but again, coming back from Tommy John surgery. But it's a little tougher when you're 33 years old.
So here's Ugla now, lined out, struck out. Hanley at first, might not be there long. Hanley stole his 29th base earlier in the game. And he's running here, a high throw. Hanley is under it and in there. Although Infante tried to sell the tag to Dana Dubuque.
Well, I think a lower throw might get Hanley, but this throw is up. And by the time the tag gets down there by Infante, Hanley's on the bag. I think Infante's thinking, and he may be right, the transition of the left leg to the right leg getting on the bag, there was nothing on the bag. He may have gotten him there.
So second tonight, 30th of the season, 1-0 to Ugla. Breaking ball, he hammers it. That ball fair into the corner. Hanley round third, he will score. Ugla trots in with an RBI double, and it's 6-1.
For that second time tonight that Dan Ugla has just crushed the ball. Remember that line drive out in the first inning. This one, he hits another line drive and keeps it fair down that left field line. Hanging slider, Dan Ugla jumps on it. And with Hanley at second base, he scored easily, and that's a nice run to get. After 2 outs, Proctor walked Hanley, and then the base hit by Ugla.
You know, Marlins have left a few runs out there tonight, despite being up 6-1. And here's Gabby. And there isn't a Marlin fan around that doesn't look at the score right now and see 6-1 and think about Sunday.
Hey, the Marlins have 6 hits. They're all extra base hits tonight.
4 doubles, 2 triples.
Yeah, I don't think a Marlin fan out there is saying, yeah, 6-1 lead safe. There's good teammates there.
Two guys that spent a lot of time as teammates this year in AAA, Maven and Morrison. And the Marlins are hoping they'll be teammates for a long time in the big leagues. David Ross is on his way out to talk to Scott Proctor.
By the way, you got a second here. We want to send our birthday wishes to our technical director, MJ. Now, when you see different camera angles, different things down there in the truck, MJ is handling a lot of that stuff.
Well, a lot of the cool effects.
Yeah.
The stuff that flies in and off the screen.
I think MJ's 27, maybe 28 this year.
Transitioning from one to another. Come on, MJ, do something cool for us. Give us a wipe or a sound effect or fly something around here after this pitch. Here's the 2-1. Ooh. Gabby didn't like the call. Danley rung it up. It's 2-2.
Yeah, there you go. Happy birthday.
That's a courtesy wipe right there. Gabby hooks that one. Diving stop by Prado. And it's picked by Lee. Boy, a great play by Prado, who may have re-injured his finger as he's shaking it. It's that right pinky. He made the stop, the dive, and the throw. That's nice stuff. It's 6-1. Happy birthday, MJ. Logan Morrison mic'd up for us tonight, singing for us tonight. Our Subway 5th inning, home of the $5 footlong. Play hard, eat fresh. Andrew Miller with a 6-1 lead. Martin Prado takes a strike. It can't be easy, Tommy, to play with a broken knuckle on the pinky finger. You can see when he puts his batting glove on, he tapes those last 2 fingers, the bigger finger to the broken finger. But when he's in the field, he can't do that. And he says every time he dives for a ball, like he did on that last play, it just hammers him with pain.
And here he is leading off the inning after diving and making a nice play.
Big breaking ball.
And then looking at a nice pitch.
Strikes out Prado.
He got ahead with fastballs and then drops in the breaking ball, and Prado just watches it.
So Andrew Miller right now in the 5th, facing Derek Lee with 1 out. The Phillies lead is 1-0, and it's in the 7th.
I also like the velocity tonight. Andrew Miller, he's been right around 93, 94, occasionally 92. And he takes a little something off.
You know, he's a guy that can probably throw 95, 96 if he really humps it up, but you just want him to be able to throw strikes because his ball has enough movement on it that at 92, 93, he can get outs with it. That one runs in on him.
Kind of like a big left-hander with the Yankees, CC Sabathia, who won his 19th game yesterday.
Well, the attraction for Miller, not only for the Tigers when they drafted him 6th overall, but the Marlins when they traded for him. You go back through history, and anytime you have a tall pitcher, especially a left-hander, it seems, it can take 2, 3, 4 years in the big leagues before they find the mechanics. They find that arm slot. You think about all the years.
Randy Johnson, a few years.
Randy Johnson had in Montreal, and then his early years in Seattle. Diaz into left field, a base hit. So Matt Diaz, his first hit of the ball game, he's 1 for 3, and now it's Alex Gonzalez. The Braves have left 7 runners in their first 4 innings. So they've been on the brink of scoring some runs. Miller seems to get the outs just when he needs them. Left the bases loaded in the 4th. Left 2 on in the 2nd. And got a double play ball with 2 on to finish the 1st. Gonzalez takes a fastball for a strike. Miller 5 strikeouts, 3 walks.
And remember, it's Brandon Hyde at the helm tonight. Edwin serving a 1-game suspension.
And remember, it's a 6-1 game. The Marlins lost on Sunday with a 6-1 lead, and it was Leo Nunez who blew the save. That won't happen tonight in the 9th, at least, because in talking with both Edwin and Brandon Hyde, Nunez is an 8th-inning guy tonight. Clay Hensley is the closer for tonight's game.
So that kind of answers our question we had the other night.
It's not permanent, but they want to see Leo a few times get out there with a little bit better command of his stuff. And Miller goes upstairs with a darting fastball to get strikeout number 6. Here comes Randy St. Clair with David Ross coming up.
I think the thing that's been impressive in Andrew Miller tonight, he's shown a live fastball. We've seen some fastballs take off. He's frozen a number of hitters on his breaking ball.
And he's doing it to a team that's hot, that's in first place in the National League East. He has yet to retire Ross, though. Ross doubled and then walked.
As you pointed out, too, he's doing it against a team he's had success against. He came into this game, he was 2-0 with a nifty ERA, a little over 3 in his career against the Braves.
Ross fouls it back. Badenhop is ready in the bullpen. But obviously Miller wants to get through this inning. Andrew is due up 4th in the bottom of the 5th. He's almost at 100 pitches. In fact, now he's at 99. He really hasn't had a quick inning.
They talked about all the base runners the Braves have had tonight.
0-2.
Tried to throw that one a little too hard.
No, Ross keeps calling timeout every time Miller gets settled in.
Andrews had a pretty good pace, and he kind of gets in that mode where he likes to just get it and throw it. So Ross trying to slow that down.
And Uggla's coming in, and I think the message is don't let that get in your head. Two. Made a good pitch. Maben in center.
Got him with a changeup, Rich.
How about that? He hasn't thrown many of those tonight. The Braves have left 9 through their 5.
Subway, play hard, eat fresh. Frank Fork along with Rich Waltz and Tommy Hutton. Hey, we have a hard-working crew here on Fox Sports Florida, but nobody works harder than the grounds crew here at Sun Life Stadium, especially over the past 48 hours. Alan Sigward and his guys had to change it from the Marlins game Thursday night, the baseball configuration, to football for the Miami Hurricanes game last night against Florida A&M University. And moments after the Canes beat the Rattlers 45-0, they started the transition back to baseball. That meant, among other things, taking up the sod and bringing the pitcher's mound back up from the subterranean area, mowing and pushing down the sod, and of course everything that takes to get ready for baseball. One grounds crew member told me that because of the stretch of converting it twice within the space of 48 hours, he was going to be up for 60 straight hours. So guys, nobody worked harder than that grounds crew to get this field ready for 2 different sports in 3 days, guys.
And of course in 2012 the Marlins won't have to deal with that, but for now you've got 2 separate football teams and a baseball team all sharing home for the next month. Tracy fouls it back. Chad Tracy, an important at bat for the Marlins in the third, a 2-run double against Kenshin Kawakami. Scott Proctor still out there. Tracy, Mike Stanton, Brad Davis in the bottom of the 5th in a 6-1 Marlins lead. You look at the number of people and players that the Marlins have lost over the last few weeks. There's Will Oman up in the pen. Ricky Nolasco out of their rotation. Done for the year. Donnie Murphy's loss is a big one. Murphy had been so big as a pinch hitter, the Marlins' best pinch hitter this year. So many big moments. game-winning hits.
Donnie Murphy was hitting .318 overall. Had a couple of hits that last game he played the other night. And as a pinch hitter, 7 for 19 with 2 pinch hit home runs.
Two coming.
And also the losses coming at a time where there's a tough stretch of games. Obviously this weekend series against the first place Braves, and then on to Philadelphia, 4 games in 3 days, the split doubleheader Monday, Labor Day.
3-2. Tracy gulps that one to right. Hayward in his tracks is there and makes the catch. Baker Concrete Super Saturday is tomorrow. The Marlins and the Braves at 7:10. And the concert, of course, Pitbull and special guest Fat Joe following a fireworks spectacular, all presented by South Florida Ford. 1-877 Marlins. Stanton tonight, an 0 for 1 night.
Thought it was an interesting move in that 3rd inning when they elected to intentionally walk Mike Stanton, load the bases with Brad Davis coming up, and Davis produced the sacrifice fly.
Bobby Cox issued 2 intentional walks in that inning. And while that move may not have worked, remember, Bobby Cox brought the infield in with a runner at 3rd and nobody out in the 1st, and he got 2 outs on that infield and got out of the inning without giving up that run.
Well, he also walked Gabby Sanchez to get to Tracy, and that's when Tracy hit that big double.
His final trip into South Florida as the skipper of the Braves. Stanton going after that breaking ball on the outside part. And he goes down, and here comes Brad Davis. This is going to be an interesting stretch for the Marlins. We've talked about the loss of Nolasco, the loss of Murphy, the loss of Brett Hayes in the collision with Nigel Morgan. The suspensions that the Marlins have appealed. 6 games for Chris Volstad. Alex Sanabia got 5 games. Gabby Sanchez got 3. And the Marlins, who have this weekend series, which concludes at noon on Sunday, fly to Philadelphia after the ball game for a day-night doubleheader on Monday, and then single games Tuesday and Wednesday. So 7 consecutive games against the Braves and the Phillies. Davis takes a strike. Two and one to the Marlins catcher. All of a sudden, the high strike is in vogue.
Yeah, it wasn't early in the game.
If it opens up for both sides, that's great.
Bring it on.
Did not go. That's Doug Eddings. He'll have home plate tomorrow night.
You know, also looking ahead with Josh Johnson throwing tomorrow, it looks like tentatively that would set him up to pitch the opening game against the Nationals in Washington, D.C. I wonder if Nigel Morgan will still be playing then.
You know, you've got to think that...
See, I would think, now this is just my opinion, that Major League Baseball, knowing that the Marlins are coming to town, would have to get something done and not have him in their lineup.
And at least hear one of the 2 appeals for the 7-game and the 8-game suspension. And as I told you, the story today was the appeal was to be heard on Tuesday for the 7-gamer in which he threw a ball into the stands and hit a fan in the head. And apparently that's been moved to next Friday, which is the day that the Marlins are scheduled to play the Nationals.
MLB's asking for trouble if they think he's going to be in the lineup then.
Well, here's my question. What happens if something happens between now and then involving Nigel Morgan?
He'll have his 3rd suspension. By the way, Scott Cousins getting ready to make his Major League debut. We've seen Scott a lot in spring training, and we've watched him play a number of games in spring training. He told me he worked on a few things in the minor leagues, had a solid year in AAA, hitting .285, 20 doubles, 14 home runs.
So this is a nice moment for this youngster who put in a solid year in New Orleans. Takes a fastball up. The University of San Francisco, a Don on the hilltop in San Francisco. He was the West Coast Conference Player of the Year in 2006 and a 3rd-round pick by the Marlins. Swings over a breaking ball. It's a ball and a strike.
Well, he's shown improvements. Good outfielder. It's a strong arm in the outfield.
Born in Reno and lives in Sparks, Nevada. Drives that ball to center field, hits it pretty well, and Keel going back, and he's there, and he makes the catch. And the Marlins are done in the 5th.
Last few days?
I would say no. Kind of like this game. Same exact situation.
How about Andrew Miller tonight?
It's weird. We were talking about it. I mean, you have to be happy with the results. 1 run only allowed, but he's been in trouble all night. But I'll take the results over what's actually occurred.
Yeah, you're right. The Braves have left 9 through their 5 innings. And Cookie, he's one of those guys we were talking about, tall pitchers, especially left-handers, and sometimes it's not until their 6th, 7th, 8th year in pro ball that they finally get it or somebody makes the right adjustment.
Absolutely. I don't think Cookie was able to hear you guys, but definitely something that the tall guys, and the first one that comes to mind, Randy Johnson, and I think it worked to his advantage for a while. The fact that he was so wild. I remember that All-Star game where John Kruk was even, stepping in, heading as a righty with the helmet on backwards, making a joke of it. But a lot of guys were sometimes even scared to walk in there and face him.
Now, the bottom line, I think we all just want to see progress. Might be baby steps, but we want to see progress in Andrew Miller.
Definitely, and one of the things that, one of the things that Cookie had pointed out, and it seems like he hasn't really made that adjustment, is his step coming towards home. It seems like he's still falling towards the first base side, and that's why a lot of his pitches stay up and out.
Well, Raul, we'll let you go. Just tell Cookie we said lots of good things about him, okay?
Okay, I will.
Yeah, tell Cookie Ola.
I will. I'll tell him. Have a good game, guys.
All right. So it's Ullman out of the bullpen first, and it's going to be a tag team effort for the Fish with a 6-1 lead. Ullman pitched in that 6-1 ball game on Sunday. He went just a third of an inning, and it did not go well for him. But a good fastball, and Ankiel has gone down on strikes 3 times tonight.
So a better start here for Will Ullman. If you have it all mapped out, as you see Ankiel just swing through a fastball, he's actually had some pretty good pitches to hit tonight. If it plays out the way you map it out, we'll probably see Ullman here. Veras in the 7th, Nunez in the 8th,
Hensley in the 9th,
and then Clay Hensley. We'll see how it goes.
Diori Hernandez pulls a ground ball to Hanley at short. Hanley straightens up, fires on over to first in time. And again, you're at the point of the season where most managers have limitless pinch hitters, multiple arms in the bullpen, which I know the working agreement is up after next season. And it's certainly not the most pressing issue in baseball. But you'd wish that there would be some sort of rule that would, maybe you can carry 33, 35 guys, but maybe only 30 can dress for the game. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
well, one of the other things that's been brought up, and with pitchers, the way things have gone over the years with them, you almost would rather see expanded rosters in April for the first month of the season.
But are you on board with me, the fact that some teams are an advantage if they've got a deep farm system?
Absolutely. And to their benefit, because they do have that deep farm system. But I think there should be a limit as to the number of players.
Ground ball up the middle. Hanley to his left. Spins around, fires a shot, and Gabby picks it. Nicely done. Hanley Ramirez, Gabby Sanchez, and a 1-2-3 inning for Will Ullman. Bottom of the 6th coming up in South Florida tonight. The Marlins lead the Braves 6-1. About the diving stop by Dan Uggla. Sticks the landing, but lost the ball. And stays on the play. The Frostbrook Coors Light Freeze can. Well, the Braves have fortified their bullpen with some new arms. Mike Dunn, one of those.
Yeah, Mike Dunn, part of that Javi Vasquez trade, coming over from the Yankees, Melky Cabrera in that deal. So it gives Bobby Cox just another left-hander down the stretch here. Gets in a little tighter ball game. You see the talented Johnny Venters.
Johnny Venters is a guy that belongs in Rookie of the Year conversations. Here's Cameron Maben. Maybe not at the top of the list, but certainly a guy like Venters or a John Axford in Milwaukee. Those guys have had terrific rookie years. Oh, 1 coming to Maben. And it's 0-2. Dunn pitched last night. Braves beaten by the Mets. Johan Santana last night.
Yeah, but Santana had to leave the game after 5 innings. No concern with Johan Santana. It sounded like it was a shoulder strain, something up in the shoulder area. There's Jose Veras.
Cardinals have a 3-2 lead over Cincinnati in the 4th. That's in St. Louis. I wonder what type of reception Brandon Phillips got tonight. And your first reaction is, well, he got booed loudly, but you never know. The fans of St. Louis, maybe he and Yadier Molina did a ceremonial tap of the shin guard just to say, I'm okay, you're okay.
I don't think that happened.
Come on.
I'm not buying that one.
Here's the 0-2. Maben takes up. One-two coming from Mike Dunn. This was the replacements tonight. This was to be Ricky Nolasco against Derek Lowe. But Nolasco, who pitched with a torn meniscus last weekend in Atlanta, shut down, will have season-ending surgery.
Derek Lowe's had some tenderness in his elbow.
Got a shot in his elbow. I believe Lowe is one of those guys that has never been on the disabled list. And unless it's a major injury and a guy goes on a 60-day DL in September to get somebody on the 40-man, you don't see teams putting guys on the disabled list in September. There's really no need to.
No need to.
Maben's worked the count to 3-2. And he's worked himself a walk.
Second time tonight that Cameron drawn a walk.
Jan Lexus all year long has presented leaders of the game. Batting average against left-handed pitching, the Fish at 277. Jan Lexus, price made us number 1 18 years running. Click janlexus.com to find out how.
One of the reasons the Marlins on the year are 28-12 against lefties.
$19,226. The attendance tonight. Here's Lomo. Now, a guy that's added to that nice number against lefties is this man. Logan Morrison against lefties, 438. Not a huge sample size, but 14 for 32 for a rookie is pretty darn good.
Well, I think it's a
a strike, a late call by Kerwin Danley.
Wow, looked like that was out. Good enough sample size because he's hit lefties and that was out. That strike zone's all over the place now for Kerwin Danley because he's had that rep in the minor leagues too. Logan has, hitting lefties. The tough part about that call is that it really puts you in a hole.
And Morrison just shakes his head. Stanley rings him up. That was a better pitch than the 0-1 pitch.
But off the plate as well. So if that plate's that big, then Hanley better be swinging the bat. See, I've always thought if an umpire calls the high strike, a hitter can adjust to that one because he can reach that one, as opposed to the umpires that'll call the pitches an inch or two off the plate. That's a tougher pitch to reach.
Hanley now with Maben at first. Dunn to the plate for a strike. Be interested to see if Maben is on the move. He's had a chance to see Dunn to the plate a few times.
And we've talked about it. Cameron has speed, but he's yet to really channel it into being a good base stealer.
And Maben right now is one of those guys that, because of his speed, is in the leadoff spot. But as his career progresses, if he does not become a base stealer, then he probably slides down in the lineup.
Yeah, I don't think the Marlins project Cameron Maben as a leadoff man.
Hanley fouls it back, and it's 0-2.
I'm not sure where he fits in because he has occasional power. He doesn't fit in as a middle-of-the-order guy at this point. So you see Cameron more down in the 6th or 7th spot in the lineup.
But he's so young that
can all change.
It can all change, absolutely. The more experience he gets, the power could blossom, and he could be a middle-of-the-order guy. Or the speed and the base stealing ability might blossom, and then maybe he finds himself near the top of the order. I think that's one of the reasons why you're watching him tonight, why Cody Ross is no longer here, is that the Marlins wanted to get a month-and-a-half look at Maben.
And this is good look. Look, this is more than just a September look. There's an old adage, don't judge a player on what he does in spring training in September. It's a little different, but I think this is different because he's played more. The Marlins are going to be playing some good teams. The team's certainly in the race. And plus, Cameron got here before then.
Count 1-2 to Hanley. And Hanley goes down swinging. So a leadoff walk by Dunn, and then a pair of strikeouts. Up comes Uggla. NFL Fox Sunday starts next Sunday with a doubleheader. Take your pick of games.
Jim Holley has that one circled right there.
Check your local listings. Jim, this could be the year for the Lions. It really could be.
The year for what?
Every year, our highly esteemed director, Jim Holley, around this time of the year, starts wearing the light blue, silver, and black. Honolulu blue, I'm being told. And just gets fired up, and it lasts for about a week.
Usually the glow is gone after the first preseason game.
There are two big days in Jim Holley's year. Opening day of the NFL season and Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, that's right.
When the Lions traditionally play at home. That's kind of like the Lions bowl game. Is that Thanksgiving game? In fact, didn't the Lions turn down an invite to the Motor City Bowl last year? Sorry, Jim. Ugly drives one to right. Hayward gets twisted a bit and then makes the catch. And the Marlins are done here in the 6th. Going to the 7th, it is 6-1. Fish. The ballpark, new ballpark, sales headquarters, any Friday from 3 to 9 p.m. for a free cafecito and happy hour. Tommy sucked down a dozen of those when we were down there and didn't stop talking for about an hour. You bring the family on Saturdays for lunch, 11 to 1 on Saturdays. So tomorrow at the New Marlins ballpark sales headquarters, if you bring your family down between 11 and 1, not only do you get a cool look at the ballpark and all the seats and all that, but you and the family can have lunch down there tomorrow.
I think that's why I was a little wired Wednesday night. Now, we'll see how far Will Ullman goes. He pitched a nice 6th inning. Is he here just to face Hayward? Then we'll see Jose Veras. Making some good pitches right now to Jason Hayward.
And it looks like Kerwin Danley's strike zone has expanded for both teams, because that was a pitch that looked a little bit in. Veras getting ready. Hayward fights that one off. 1 for 3 is Hayward. Hayward, his Rookie of the Year candidacy certainly will be helped by being in the national spotlight for the rest of the month as the Braves lead the East and battle the Phillies.
And Hayward just turned 21.
Good sharp breaking ball, and down goes Hayward. I think for Gabby Sanchez, he got an awful lot of publicity in the last couple of days. So at the very least, his name is out there. And I think, you know, in listening to writers and baseball shows, he's in the top 3 right now. He's in the conversation, which is good news. And Brandon Height's going to make
our question answered.
Going to make that change. Ullman out, Veras in. Rooney called to the pen.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call?
And here is Jose Veras. Martin Prado and Derek Lee await Veras. He takes over for Will Ullman. This was an Andrew Miller start. 5 innings, 7 hits, a run, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts for Andrew Miller, who threw 103 pitches. Veras fires in a 94-mile-an-hour strike, and it's 0-1.
Well, you have a string of righties, but you also have a string of lefties on the bench for Bobby Cox. You know, Brian McCann, Nate McLeod, Eric Hinsky, Freddie Freeman.
Veras misses inside with a breaking ball. There's no doubt the Braves are stacked, and we talked about the expanded roster. When you can add a Freddie Freeman, a top hitting prospect like that, when Troy Gloss can come back up and join your team. McLeod is not on that 25-man postseason roster. He's been added.
And Rich, I'm happy to report to you, I know you may find some delight in this, but Nyjer Morgan tonight's 0 for 4.
Oh, I take no delight in that at all, Tommy.
Against his former team in Pittsburgh.
It's over, Tommy. We're putting it behind us.
You have a short memory. That's good.
We're moving on. Jose Veras strikes out Martin Prado.
Was some good pitches. Live fastball that gets him with that slider. Had a little drop to it. Very nice.
Remember earlier in the night we had that question as to how the St. Louis fans greeted Brandon Phillips, one of our crack staffers.
Do we have a Midwest crack staffer?
Actually, he's more than a crack staffer. Craig Minervini texting in that he saw the AB and that Phillips struck out and got a tremendous ovation after he struck out.
Oh, nice to have Craig checking in with us.
0-1. Lee takes down low.
Now, does Craig think he can expense that just because he checked in with you?
Oh, absolutely. Two and 1 to Lee. Ground ball short, Hanley around it. High throw, Gabby stays on the bag in a 1-2-3 inning. Ullman got the first, Veras the next 2, and the Marlins cruise into the 7th inning stretch.
Along with Rich Waltz and Tommy Hutt, and we're out here in left field. And the young man sitting next to me, Jimmy Cruz, is here as part of the brain and spinal cord injury support group. 2 years ago, he suffered a devastating brain injury in a car accident, but he's working his way back. Last year at this time, you were in a wheelchair. Now you're in a walker. What kind of progress are you making? It sounds pretty good.
Yeah,
You threw out the first pitch tonight, and you were a pitcher at Everglades High School. What was that like to be back out there on a mound?
It felt better.
How's your rehab going?
It's going good. I'm progressing.
Pat, his mom, what has this support group meant to Jimmy's recovery and to be out here tonight with the group to watch the Marlins?
It is phenomenal. These people at Health South, especially Sue Jones and Sue Krinsky, they've helped Jimmy along the way. It gives him a smile every day to get out there and to pursue, to go back to a normal life. You know, you need to have support. You can't just give up. You got to do it.
And how often does the support group meet?
They meet on a once a month basis, but they're there all the time. Sue, you can reach her all the time, any time of the day or night, and she's trying to raise money just as much as everybody else to try to get a facility so kids can go there. A lot of these kids have been devastated. Their parents have been devastated financially, and they need to go someplace so they can have some time to relax and some time to think about what they want to do with their life.
All right, well, your husband was blocking your shot, so he cut into your camera time so you can get on him when you guys go home. Okay. The camera was right up there, and he got right in the way. But that's okay. We're glad to see you doing well, Jimmy. Best of luck in your recovery.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guy. And back up to you, Rich and Tommy. Great story.
All right, thank you, Frank. It is a great story. Gabby Sanchez sends that one out of play, and the count is 3-2 on the Marlins' first baseman, Gabby, Chad Tracy, Mike Stanton in the bottom of the seventh in a 6-1 game.
Yeah, Gabby was robbed last time up on that nice pick at third by Martin Prado.
0 for 2 tonight. Dunn misses low and inside, and Gabby takes his walk. And he's aboard to open up the seventh. And here comes Chad Tracy. And don't need to remind you how important an add-on run or two would be for the Marlins. Coming off the heels of that loss on Sunday in a 6-1 ball game, and it was 6-1 into the eighth. Remember, the Braves climbed within 2. They made it 6-4, then tied it on the Diaz 2-run shot and won it on the McCann homer.
We were talking about the setup in the bullpen, and I think the fact that Will Lohman was able to go an inning and a third, Jose Veras got a couple of quick outs. We may see Veras back out there in the eighth inning. But a lot of that depends on the situation here if the Marlins have a chance to add on when his spot comes up in the order.
Chad Tracy lines one into center field. A base hit. Gabby, big turn, slipped, and just gets back at second base. Chad Tracy's got a couple of hits. You know, he continues to produce in this now platoon spot at third base.
Well, I think he's getting a little more comfortable. He's getting more bats, and that certainly helps. And even getting the base hit there off the left-hander, Dunn. Yeah, there's Gabby's big turn. Look out.
I think with all the injuries that the Marlins have had, one guy that the Fish hope gets hot is at the plate right now, Mike Stanton. Because if Stanton can recapture that 3-week run that he had, then all of a sudden it changes the whole dynamics of the lineup.
Oh, it makes a huge difference.
He's 0 for 2 tonight. And he takes a ball. 1-0.
And by the way, Rich, Chad Tracy now 8 for his last 23. A 348 clip.
Breaks his bat out to short. Gonzalez gets it out. Infante's turn. Up the line. Lee with the catch and the tag. And Stanton is retired. The Braves get 2 outs. Gabby's at third. And here comes Brad Davis.
Well, big double play for the Braves. And once it gets in the hands of Alex Gonzalez, it's usually pretty routine. Broken bat. There's the flip. The turn by Infante pulled Derek Lee off the bag, but because it was so quick, that's one of the reasons you always want to get that throw over to the first baseman as quickly as you can. He was able to come off the bag and put the tag on Mike Stanton.
Davis takes low and inside. Marlins have Bonifacio on deck. Davis has had another solid night. Has doubled, sac fly, and a walk.
And should the lineup get to the 9th spot now with Bonifacio on deck, then we would see Leo Nunez, because Nunez started the throw down there.
Gabby's at third. Davis behind the count now, 1-2. Tomorrow night, it's a Super Saturday, and it's JJ night for both sides. Josh Johnson and Jair Jurgens. Outstanding pitching matchup. Pitbull, Fat Joe, the concert. Breaking ball, done. Snaps a beauty off and gets Davis and leaves Gabby at third. 6-1 going to the 8th. Over Labor Day for the Marlins, brought to you by Just for Men Hair Color. Game tomorrow night's a Super Saturday. JJ's for both sides. Sunday is a noon start. Please make a note. Noon on Sunday. And on Monday, the Marlins play 2 in Philadelphia, and we televise both at 1 o'clock and at 7 o'clock. That brought to you by Just for Men Hair Color. So here's Leo Nunez in the 8th. There's Wes Helms at third base. Helms will hit 9th and lead off in the bottom of the inning. And Nunez returns to face the Braves, and Diaz, fastball, tapped up the middle. Ugla whips it over in time. Nice play.
Good job, Dan Ugla, and a good job by Leo to take that hand out of the way.
And Hanley had to make a decision, too, on that ball, Tommy, because he had thoughts of cutting in front of Ugla.
There may have been a little communication out there. Watch Leo's hand. Starts to reach up, and he goes, uh-oh. Let one of the infielders take care of it. Good communication, because I think Hanley heard Dan Ugla, and then he just ran in front to get out of the way.
Of course, Diaz was the guy that hit the 2-run homer against Leo in Atlanta. Leo's numbers. High chopper, Helms backing up, Hanley in the hole, long throw. He got him! Wow. That was bang, bang.
Isn't it fun when you get some good defense out there? Dan Ugla, now Hanley Ramirez.
Did Helms deflect this?
Not sure if he touched it. And then Hanley barehanded it. He knew he had to pick it with the bare hand and get the throw over. No, I don't think he touched it.
Wow. That's as close as it gets. It looks like Doug Eddings, the first base umpire, got it right.
I made the comment the other night, and I was curious watching Leo Nunez pitch here tonight in the 8th inning, and he pitched in the 8th inning the other night, that it looked like he was pitching, and he wasn't just coming in all amped up out of the bullpen and throwing.
And that's exactly what Edwin Rodriguez imparted to him and said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to bring you into situations, and we want to watch you pitch. We don't want to watch you just throw and say, beat me on my fastball, beat me on my changeup. They want better location.
Good heat there.
Better sequences.
And basically to pitch better than just be a thrower. He has great stuff. Everybody knows that.
But the Sunday in Atlanta was a perfect example. He got beat on a fastball in the outer half of the plate against Diaz, which is exactly where Diaz wants the ball. And then on a changeup low and in to a left-handed bat in McCann, and that's McCann's happy zone, and he hit it out.
That's the first base runner that the Braves have gotten off the Marlins bullpen. Will Ullman got 4 straight outs. Jose Veras a couple of outs. Nunez the first 2 outs here.
Ankiel takes down low. Rick Ankiel has struck out 3 times tonight. And he's faced 3 lefties tonight. Or his 3 at-bats are against lefties. Just 2 lefties. Andrew Miller got him twice, and then Will Ullman got him in the 6th. So he may be rather relieved to see a right-hander out there here in the 8th.
Been a rough year for Rick Ankiel. He had all that time he spent on the disabled list with Kansas City with a hamstring problem. Just trying to get settled in. He absolutely loves being with the Atlanta Braves.
Fouls that fastball back, and it counts 1-2. Marlins have to be very judicious with pitch counts for relievers this weekend because of the doubleheader on Monday.
You're going to need everybody Monday.
Change up, and Nunez gets the Braves in the 8th, 6-1. In relief of Andrew Miller. Kyle Farnsworth out of the Braves bullpen. He becomes the third reliever to work in relief of Kenshin Kawakami, who lasted just 3 innings. And he did get a couple of nice innings out of Mike Dunn. Scott Proctor pitched 2, gave up a run. And it's Farnsworth who gets Wes Helms, Cameron Maven, and Logan Morrison. Marlins trying to move 3 games over 500 to get to 68 and 65.
And I try to put a little dent into the Braves run. They certainly would be helping out the Phillies tonight. Phillies are taking on the Milwaukee Brewers.
Well, the Phillies have taken care of the Milwaukee Brewers thanks to Cole Hamels. 1-0 is a final in Philadelphia. Hamels gets the win. It's hard to believe he's a game under 500. He's 9-10.
He's got a good ERA, though.
Ryan Madsen got the save, his 5th. Helms takes inside. Wes's first at bat of the night.
Now, we talked about Farnsworth the other night in Atlanta. Good stuff. He's making a lot of coin for that good stuff, but has never really pitched the way teams thought he would. He can get wild. His great arm, live fastball. Mostly fastballs and sliders for Farnsworth.
Tommy, in your day, did they call it coin or was it glue? What was the
glue? Back then it was glue.
Glue.
Yeah. Yeah, he's making a lot of glue.
(1-1).
Mike Schmidt made a lot of glue.
How about you? Was it more adhesive tape than glue?
It was pieced together.
1-2 to Helms. And Farnsworth pumps a 95-mile-an-hour fastball right down the middle. So down goes Helms. Up comes Maven. Also coming up is a family Sunday. The Ricky Nolasco drawstring bag can be yours if you're one of the first 5,000 kids, courtesy of Preferred Care Partners. Note the time change. It is a noon start. Well, 12:10.
Rich, will you call me Sunday morning?
I'll text
just to make sure.
Just pack your bag tomorrow because you're not going to have time on Sunday morning. 12:10 start. Marlins and Braves, and that the time of game was changed because the Marlins have the day-night doubleheader in Philadelphia. It's to get the ball club to Philly at a decent hour. Hopefully there's not weather in Philly, which is...
Hopefully all those storms have kind of veered off a little more northeasterly.
I can't tell you how many times in travel with the ball club you'll be on the ground in a place like Chicago or Houston, and you'll hear there's a delay because there's weather in Philly, even though you're flying to Atlanta. For some reason, the weather in Philly dictates an awful lot.
Well, what do they call it? The Northeast Corridor can really jam up air flights. So hopefully by then it'll be okay Sunday night.
Maven with the count 1-2. Cameron has walked twice tonight, which is good to see.
Generally, a guy like Farnsworth, and this is why he's been able to bounce around with a number of teams and make a lot of money in this game. In games like this, he pitches well. But he's not been known to pitch well in tighter ball games. But he has that great arm.
Now I've got to look up and see how much blue he's making. Just to finish the story. Here's the 2-2. Maven checks his swing.
I think it's close to $6 million.
About $5 million.
Okay.
This is the second year of
a mill here, a mill there. What's the difference?
Second year of a $9 million contract.
It might have been backloaded, though.
Swing and a miss.
Good slider.
Our Coors Light cold, hard blast. Don't have a homer to show you, but how about a couple of triples? This drove in a run in the first. And that's what a triple sounds like.
And both stand-up triples, too.
Logan Morrison mic'd up tonight. Sends that fly ball out to Matt Diaz in left. And he makes the catch. Farnsworth goes 1, 2, 3 in the 8th. Marlins try to shut it down in the 9th, up 6-1. For the Florida Marlins tonight. You can see a big night for Logan Morrison, a couple of triples. Chad Tracy's name is not up on that list because he's been replaced defensively by Wes Helms, but Tracy had 2 hits, including a 2-run double. Ugla, an RBI double. Brad Davis with a nice night as well. Burke Badenhop will try to close it down, and the Marlins hoping that Hopper can do it without a lot of base runners so that maybe they can keep Clay Hensley down in the pen and avoid bringing him in.
Well, that's right. A difference in the score, we'd probably see Hensley, but with the 5-run lead, we're seeing the Hopper out there.
And we're getting our first look at one of the top young players in the Braves system, Freddie Freeman. It was the talk in spring training that the Braves had Hayward and Freeman, and the Marlins had Stanton and Morrison, both kind of on just about the same time frame. Morrison arriving about 3 weeks to a month before Freeman. And, of course, Hayward starting the season in the big leagues, and Stanton getting there about halfway through.
Yeah, and big numbers for Freeman this year. Hit .319 at 35 doubles, 18 home runs, and is expected to be the Braves' first baseman next year.
Now, Mike Stanton did play with Freddie Freeman on an all-star team in Southern California. As you saw, they're both 20, and they're both L.A. guys. So he knows Freddie.
A couple of pretty big guys back-to-back in the lineup.
Full count. Infante and Hayward as well to face Badenhop. Hensley is heated up, and he's ready to go if needed. Ground ball Ugla's way. Daniel has it. Freeman is out, number 1.
That just took a little bit off, got a little more sink to it, got Freeman to roll over on it.
Nice to have Ugla back in the lineup. He returns after a 3-game absence. There's Infante now. Badenhop whips in a strike. Marlins looking to keep this 6-1 lead. And so far, so good. Another strike, 0-2.
That was the one thing that Edwin Rodriguez stressed so much to his bullpen, was throwing strikes. He was upset a few games ago. Bullpen came in, was walking that leadoff man.
Gabby gives chase. There have been a lot of great signs around the ballpark about Gabby Sanchez. There's one, but earlier there was a need protection. Call 1-800-GABBY. There it is. I was summarizing. For all your protection needs. 1-800-014-GABBY. Fly ball left. Morrison over. And Logan settles under it, makes the catch. Jason Hayward now. I think you may ask at home, well, why have Hensley up in the bullpen throwing right now? The Marlins had a day off yesterday, and just a chance for Hensley to work and try to stay sharp. He did not pitch on Wednesday. He last pitched on Tuesday. So a good night for him to get a little work in. I think unless things go sideways on the hopper, he'll stay down there.
Also, it would get him ready quickly if needed. If anything happened fast, and then Hensley would be ready in a hurry.
Hopper's out in front, 1-2. Well, this would be a great game to get. Marlins would go 3 over with JJ on the mound tomorrow night. Got him! Change up. Marlins win it 6-1. A lot of people wondered after Wednesday night's affair with the Washington Nationals, the injuries, the suspensions, what would the ball club's mindset be coming into this one against the Braves? And I think this very young team has answered it as the Fish take down Atlanta 6-1. Badenhop finishes on a night where Andrew Miller goes 5 innings and gets the win. The Marlins beat the Braves by a score of 6-1. And the Braves lead in the East is down to a game. We'll finish it after this.